Hey, what's going on, fellow YouTubers? I got another video for you, and this one is going to be on page layout. And again, this is Robert Marzullo, Ram Studio Comics. If you haven't seen any of my videos before, I'm very open to you letting me know what you like and what you don't, so we can better this channel for you, the viewer. So let's go ahead and get started. What I had a request here to do was lay out, kind of a comic book paneling and how I would do it differently, stuff like that. So you have, you notice I put EST for establishing shot, and this is just a dummied up quick sketch, thumbnail it's called. What this would be like a establishing shot, future type city off in the horizon. You just kind of give yourself a rough depiction of that, and obviously it's some kind of alien land scenario. There's two planets up in the sky, so it tells you you're immediately not on Earth, that kind of thing. Um, but it's just the establishing shot. What that is to let the viewer know where they are in place of the story, and then from there you can give them smaller panels, close-up shots, things like that, things with less information in the background. They won't need as much to realize where they are in the story because you gave them that initial establishing shot. Now some people will try to just not deal with that. I know I did that in the past. I draw just kind of whatever as I saw fit. It's kind of important to put that there because if not, if I just start off with a close up of the character, then a side shot of the character, and little bits of data in the background, you never give them that information to know what's going on in the story. But as to where if I start with this establishing shot, I can go to these close up of the eyes, and you still know he's somewhere in the city. So I start there. I kind of zone in a little bit more. We see like our hero character, leg up majestically or whatever up on the edge of the rooftop or whatever, looking over the city that maybe he's protecting, and that's it. My little stick figure dude says all that, just by the positioning. And by having these weird angles, I can tell, this is kind of some, you know, alien structure or whatever. It doesn't look like a typical building, even with just a few basic lines that are in there. And that's why I throw these little points in because I'm trying to envision, real scribbly, real loose. There's some kind of strange city back there, and as I tighten up and pull in, I'll add more details that go along with that initial sketch. So these are called thumbnails right there, and it's very important to keep them loose and not try to overdraw. One is a time saver. You want to be able to flow through this process, and not over render something that's not going to work anyways. So that's why you do this. So the other thing that I want to point out when doing page layouts is this. There's a direction that needs to flow, like a Z, through your artwork, like that. So you want to make sure you stay consistent with that because that's how American comics read, and you need it to flow that way properly to tell the story. So your layout should depict that. The next panel might read something like, okay, now we look up, again, majestically at our hero, or him, an upshot, which they're always tricky. Oh, let me switch back to a black ink there. They're always tricky. So what I do generally when I do my upshots is I dig up some reference because I always struggle with this upshot. But B is I block it in very very blocky. You'll notice with my drawing if I'm ever struggling with something, I go to basic shapes and block it in. If it's something I'm more in command of, I can line draw the exterior of it almost immediately for my my lengthy process of drawing. But if I struggle with it, then I'm going to go right back to the basics, which are blocking it in. Like, and I'm sorry, this isn't a demonstration on the upshot, but I'm just trying to give you the process in which I would feel out if a scene works, and that's very much part of the layout stage. Another thing is to always have shapes that flow together, point certain directions. Maybe the character, like I could even take this character here, reverse them, because if you look here, he's pointing this way out towards the city, or maybe out this way, right? But here he's flipped the other way. And since there's not really a reason for that, I'm kind of breaking the continuity of that for no reason. So a good thing to do would be to flip one of these scenes. And I would recommend I guess flipping this one that way, and now it keeps to the flow and continuity of the page layout, and each one's pointing towards the next. Even though he's not looking downward to this next panel, you can see I kind of did that a little bit with the way that this one overlaps down. See that? So that's it. And then the next scene might say close up of his eyes to show some emotion, whether it be anger, sadness, discernment, whatever. And again, pulling up reference, it's good to look at different pictures and see what the small, subtle differences are to those. I mean, everybody starts off drawn and they can do angry and sad, or plain face and angry, or whatever. And that's not, that's a portion of what you're going to draw. And majority in comics, there's a lot of mad faces, but you got to get all those different subtleties of, concerned, in doubt, in wonder, and there's all these different little. You'll see it. You start googling images, and you find all these cool faces and draw every one of them. That's my suggestion to you. Okay, so now what I want to do here to show the variance of what you could do with this, because this is a basic box layout, and if you ever look at my comics, you can find them on ramstudios1.deviantart.com and robertmarzullo.com. You'll see that I very rarely do box layouts. I'm too scatterbrained when I draw my stuff. I like, I'd have this scene up here going like this one coming over here like this, and then maybe the last one would be this scribbly, box with the eyes in it. I like very not concise, very sketchy outlines, I guess. I like the artwork to be the main basis anyways. And really that's why you do these some simplistic box layouts when you're really trying to define the artwork and make the eye go to the artwork. That's why a lot of guys go to this. I just like to do my stuff a little bit differently. I've always been attracted to the splash page type layouts. So if I was going to redraw this and do it a little bit differently, let's try. I'm just going to draw these in now. And I'm going to actually try a totally different layout. First, I need my establishing shot, and it doesn't have to go right up here. It can, I mean, that's more traditional, but let's try something a little less traditional. Let me find my tools here. Okay, and just so you know, I'm using Sketchbook Pro on this particular video. I do a lot of Manga Studio, a lot of Photoshop work, but they all have different features that I like about them. And I'm not showing the interface on this because I want it to be the focal point of the layouts and the drawing. So at any rate, so we'll use this as the initial establishing shot. Even though it's tall and upright, it can still work, and I'll show you how. We'll do our alien city, and now since it's a tall upright shot, we're going to do it in the way where the buildings are going to stack side to side and then larger and in front of the next. And you know what that looks, hold on. Let's make these suckers look alienistic or whatever. So we'll do like this kind of effect where basically they stack, like this, even though that's just a weird shape right there, that's a building up close to the viewer, is what I'm trying to tell myself. These are basically just little footnotes or notes to myself when I go back to redraw this. So that's why I don't overdraw these. I'm not trying to impress you right now with my thumbnail, and I'm not trying to impress myself. I'm just giving myself notes as to what I'm thinking for the master plan of how I'm going to draw this out. There, I'm just telling myself to add some dimension because that looks extremely too flat right there. So just like that. So building up close, one in the midground, one in the background, and then our circles for our alien moon and planets in the background. So just like that, there's our establishing shot. EST shot. And there you go. So that gives us, where we're at in the storyline. I still like this one over here better for this, but I'm trying to go with an alternate scene layout to show you how you could get the same storyline across in a different layout. All right, the next one, we look up at our hero watching over the city with a, hero-esque perspective. I don't know, whatever. So this next one, I'm going to kind of draw it out. I still want, him standing over the city, but maybe I do it from a different perspective. Maybe now the camera is behind him looking up or down. We don't want everything to be an up shot, obviously. So I'm going to kind of draw this out. So there's our next frame, and then, or you know what, I want to give the frames themselves. I don't want this to be too boxy. Again, like I said, it's typically not how I do mine. So let's try this, and then I'll put another frame that comes behind it. I'm thinking about this upshot that's going to happen next. And then for the eyes, I don't need all this data here, and I want something cool at the bottom of the scene for the eyes. So I'm going to angle this frame, have it cut in front of there, and do something like this, which again is more traditional for the type of layouts that I like to do. So let me erase some of these lines, just enough to get the point across. Okay, and I still think I have the flow that I need, the direction. It's not going to be the reverse Z per se, because you wouldn't keep going back to your establishing shot. It's kind of doing this, but it still has that direction and that flow that you need, like that. So it is still there, kind of does more of that, but it works. So your establishing shot, the character, maybe he's zoomed in quicker this time, and he's looking over the city with a watchful eye. Again, real boxy. He's got one leg up on the precipice or whatever, the edge of the roof. Um, dun 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 or whatever. I like to make sound effects when I sketch this stuff. It helps me get in the zone. Oh, see, now right there, as simple as this is, I can tell right there that I don't want the edge of the roof right there. Why? It starts to connect to this line, and that would distract the viewer. So it's amazing how even in this thumbnail stage you can work things like that out. So it needs to be more on an angle and not connect to that line, just so it doesn't look distracting. You know, you do want to watch all the shapes that you're building into your, and I think that's more your composition, but it's very important because there's even things that happen to the viewer subconsciously if they see certain shapes in there, and on a subconscious level it tells them if the layout's good and if it works versus it doesn't. It's like right when they see it, they identify with it being really good or really bad, and I think that's going to be your composition. So study up on that. So there's that. Now look, even here, this leg points right down to this next panel. So little things like that help the flow of the design. Now he's pointing this way. I kind of don't want to turn him around again, like what I said over here. So I'm going to do the upshot where he's pointing the same direction over here, and I think it works because it still looks like he's looking at the city over here at the establishing shot. So I'm going to do this upshot. I'm going to make sure he's pointing in this direction. So now the camera is in front of him. Again, it's an upshot, so it's more difficult. I'm not going to draw this too much into it. And I might even do something where his head breaks the panel right here. Because again, I said, I like stuff like that. I like that, you know, busting the panel and it looking more like a collage. And, I'm really into those kind of page layouts. That's what, resonates with me or whatever. So, see, and I immediately struggle with the upshot. But I'm just going to, put that in there. Maybe I'll give him the clenched fist. It's always fun to draw in there. Always looks very comic booky. You know, actually this perspective, he would just be, I don't think he'd be making a grimace. He would just be looking out there. But that's enough data right there. And then since this frame comes up this way, I'm not going to waste that. I'm going to do like some cool building shape right back there. Maybe that moon shape or whatever it is again, because I really didn't define if they're in front of them or behind them here. So maybe behind them would, make that finish off nicely. And if I didn't want this square line and I want to get artsy fartsy about it, I could just take this moon shape now, connect it here to the building, finish off the building shapes, and boom, let that be my frame. So that's another way that you can get creative and change your frame layouts. And I'll tell you, even though I originally liked this layout here, I'm starting to like the feel of this page layout a lot better. It's very simplistic, it still works, but I got more art going on here, artsy feel that I like. So now for the eyes, now whenever I draw a frame like this and I kind of scribble the frame, to me what that says to the viewer is, hey, drama, something's going on, dramatization, you can get wild with the lines around the frame if you're really, you know, trying to really up the drama. But here he's just kind of got this basic view, like he's not really thinking a whole lot. So if we were going to do this frame in the story, obviously convened with it, I think the look here would be more intense with that. So it'd probably be, you know, he's saying something or something's coming to mind that is, you know, more intense, whatever, So the look would probably have to go with that. So we might do like, a mad face. Again, forgive my crudely drawn sketches here. Just trying to get the point down really fast. This is even longer than I would spend on my thumbnails, but obviously I'm explaining the process. Thumbnails should be really fast, and then that way you can make changes on the fly, and when you get down to your art and your rendering, that's when you spend all your time laboring over one eyebrow or whatever you're doing. So you want this part to just flow. So yeah, so there he's got more of a grimace. He's looking, still pointing towards the city. Um, I don't think there'd be a need to change direction of the viewer at this point. Now, if something occurred, say there was an explosion, say one of these buildings fell over, whatever, then you could turn the viewer, and that would kind of coincide with the storyline. That there would be a need that he would change direction, and that would explain it. So yeah, that's it. I don't want to get too far into this. I mean, hopefully this gives you an idea. There's lots of different things that you can do to be creative with your panels. Um, when you're doing stuff like, let me see, if you put, you got a character. I'll give you one more quick one. You've got a character and he's standing there, with his heroic pose, whatever. We'll just put the hands on the hips, whatever. Just sketch that out real fast. Dun, dun, dun. Again, sound effect. Alright, hands on the hips like that. Very bow-legged stance. And to do this frame, you want something that, is different, kind of artsy, whatever. I would probably do something like maybe this, where the frame is behind the character, like so. And he could be standing in front of the frame, but I think it would be cool to kind of encapsulate him in at the bottom. Don't totally cover his feet. Show some of the feet and ankles so it doesn't look like you just don't like drawing feet. That's why I probably would even, you could even have him stepping out of the frame if you were trying to convey that he was moving a little bit. But I would say keep it in the frame there, but have him poke out of the frame there. Have your city effect or whatever, whatever kind of background's there. Um, Sorry, that's a pretty bad city. But you get the idea. But that's another way that you could be creative with the frame, just poking the character out like that. With action scenarios, you can go a step further and say you have like a punch scene, maybe tilt the frame up a little bit, going with the direction of the punch. And then, the character's throwing a punch and the fist is coming right out of the frame. So maybe the frame is back here. And it's going to immediately add to the impact and the depth. Maybe he's got the other guy just punching his head right out of the frame. And another little quick tidbit about that, when you're drawing things like that, always show past tense. Don't show the punch occurring at the face. If you do, it doesn't have nearly the impact as it does going past the direction of the face, like the punch has already occurred. Probably already know that if you've watched a lot of demonstrations and videos on this type of stuff, but figured I'd throw it in there. But yeah, so those are good occurrences of when to break the frame or whatever, and to especially when it's action. There's a lot of good fun ways to do that. So yeah, so at any rate, hopefully that helps you and explains a little bit of the process of what you do for some of your page layouts. Please let me know what worked for you. If this was a good video, bad video, all the great stuff. Like and subscribe. And please share. I really want to get the word out there. I really like doing this with the channel, and I want to keep bringing these videos to you. I upload once a week right now at least, so you can help me keep doing that by sharing the videos and commenting below and let me know, hey Rob, here's the next idea. This is what we really want to know. You did good here, but you missed talking about this. I'm very open-minded, and I like to better the channel as I go. That's the whole process. So thanks very much for watching. Keep drawing, keep having fun, and talk to you soon.